my name is Samantha. This is episode 23 of the Khaos Kismet podcast, and I am an idiot. I have just recorded an hour-long podcast with no volume. I forgot to switch my mic on. I have a mic here, and it's got a little mute button on the end, which I clearly did not check, which I should have, but I didn't. So we're going to try again. I've been trying to record since 8 o'clock this morning. It is now 10:30. Just between interruptions, I'm not even got dressed yet. Between interruptions and me spending a completely pointless hour. But we're here now, we have volume, I did check. So let's get on. What do we have today? We have... I have notes. We have 2 finished objects, we have a couple of whips, and we have one absolute disaster that I kept to show you before I forgot. We've got a little bit of life stuff, a little bit of what we've been up to, and then plans for the next week. Also some longer term plans that I'm considering, I'm thinking about. So I might need your opinions, a little bit of discussion on that. Firstly, let's get on with the finished objects. The first one that I have, oh god, I see everything is everywhere now because I've just recorded. So I start off with a nice neat pile of stuff, and then by the end of it, as I'm showing you things, it just ends up spread everywhere. Right, my first finished object is from this book, Zumigurumi 3. If you have ever done any kind of amigurumi, you probably own a Zumigurumi book. They are very popular. There's 12 in the series, and it's from, there's a website called amigurumi.net, and they produce these books. And the basic premise of the website and these books is that it's lots and lots of different designers. So this one has 15 patterns in it by 12 different designers. And there's some of the patterns on the back there. So some of them are quite easy, some of them are a little more difficult. None of them are like super difficult, but there's a nice range of different patterns in these books. They've been going for a while. This one was published in 2014, so they have been producing these books for quite a while now. Let's see, what have I done with them? Yeah, everything's everywhere now. Everything's chaos. I have done this little guy here. His name is Eugenio, and you'll see on here he's standing up and he has a blue and white top on. Mine is sitting down and has a pink and blue top on, because he's a white bird, and I thought, you know, a little bit of colour would be nice. And I have put him on Instagram because I think he needs something else. I think he needs some kind of clothes. The consensus at the minute is he definitely needs some kind of scarf. I'm just trying to pick a colour at the moment, and I'm thinking about a hat. Somebody has suggested a little sailor hat, which I think would be super cute, but I don't know, he's got a little tail. And I thought that, like, this bit is all easy, and this is a peek-a-pow pattern. So this bit was all fairly easy, and I thought the feet would be a lot more fiddly than they are, but they're actually not. It was quite quick and easy to put together. He's been in my whip pile for ages, because round about November, December time, I had decided that I was going to start working my way through all of my craft books that I own. So I was going to do like a crochet book, and then a sewing book, and then a cross stitch, you know, and work my way through them. And this is the only thing that I had started. So I'd picked this book and decided I'm going to work it through from like beginning to end, all the patterns that I want to make out of it. And I'd got as far as I'd done his head and maybe back here in his body. And then he'd gone into the whip pile, which then, because of my object permanence thing, because of my ADHD, which if you don't know what that is, if you have ADHD, not everybody has it, but most people with ADHD have a thing called object permanence, where if something is not in your line of sight, it doesn't exist anymore until you get reminded of its existence. It's not like you completely forget. It's hard to explain. You don't forget that it exists altogether. You know, if someone said to me, where is Eugenio? I would be like, oh yeah, it's... But if nobody ever mentioned him again and he was just put in a bag, I would be surprised to find them at some point. Yeah, it's difficult to explain, but this is why a lot of people think that people with ADHD are messy and untidy, and it's not. It's just that we need to see things in order to remember that they're there. We know where everything is. We have everything organised in our own little brain, but it looks untidy to other people. Because literally, if you put things away, then you forget about them. It's why I have to have so many lists of everything all the time, and why I have to work to a planner, because if I don't work to a planner, I forget to do things because they're not right in front of my face. Little insights into my squirrel brain. So we have Eugenio. He's very cute. I'm going to decide what to do with him. He's definitely getting a scarf, possibly a hat, and then he's going to go in my shop because I have so many cuddly toys and I'm trying to get rid of stuff to downsize so that I can move house without having to pack a billion things. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is a little bit cheaty because I'd already done the stitching for it. We have a little pillow. The stitching part of it is a Hobbycraft kit. Hobbycraft is a version of like Joann's or Michael's, and as you're waiting in queue at the till, they have these little baskets and they have these little like tiny little cross stitch kits in them, and that's what that one was. And then I have piles of these just sitting around that I've stitched and never done anything with, so I've just turned it into a little pillow. For these bits, all you literally do is you get strips of fabric and you put a strip at the top and the bottom and then a strip up the side. If you're using directional fabric like this, make sure you cut separate strips for the top and the bottom, and then cut strips off the side for these bits so that the print stays in the right direction. I was very proud of myself and I remembered to do that first time, because what I normally do is I just cut one big long strip and then I go to put it together and I'm like, oh, the pattern's the wrong way round. Which you can get away with for a lot of things, but directional prints, not so much. So, a little pillow. Postman. I don't know if you heard that, but that was the postman. I'm trying to find my next things. That's it for finished objects. I only have 2. I have been doing stuff all week, but I've also been very busy doing other things. So I've managed to finish those 2 things. Whips. I don't have very many whips either. We have in the gnome bag, we have socks. These are the socks last week. Ooh, everything's falling over. Last week they were probably down here somewhere, maybe, I don't know, I didn't mark it, but they were probably down here somewhere. And so I've finished the rest of the foot. I have done the heel and I have started on the leg. These are, I do a Turkish cast on. Apparently most people do Judy, Jenny. It's either Judy or Jenny. One does a cast on, one does a bind off. But I can never get to grips with that, so I do a Turkish cast on. And then 64 stitches. These ones aren't for me, but it's 64 stitches, plain stockinette sock, fish lips kiss heel on 2.25mm Knit Pro Novas. They are on a shortish cable. People think that I'm weird for using a shortish cable, but I just don't like having a big cable. So you do you. Just because some people like doing it some ways doesn't mean everybody else has to. You do whatever makes you comfortable. Whatever brings you joy in your knitting life, that is what you do. So that is my sock whip. I think that's my only knitting whip. I've got a couple of cross stitch ones. My bee, Alright, I'm going to show you the back because you can see it better. I've done quite a bit on it now. Is it from the front? Yeah, I have done quite a lot on it. I've taken off the Q-snap because I've moved it. I've finished this. I've finished this whole corner here, so I've moved it so I can start working on this corner here, and then I'll move up. This was a kit from Amazon. Printed cross stitch, so I don't have to do any counting. It's just nice and simple. This is what I was working on for my 100-day project, but I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later on in my plans. But I have been working on it. I haven't had as much chance to work on it as I wanted because I was finishing off Caitlin's blanket, which you would have seen last episode. That took up so much of my time. So I was literally just putting in a couple of stitches a day. But I would like to get that finished. And it's nice and easy to work on. So I think that's probably going to be a priority to get that done. This next one is another cross stitch one. I've started to go to bed an hour earlier and spend that hour sitting up in bed, listening to my audiobook and stitching. Just as a nice little routine to get myself in to wind down for the night. Because when I'm in the living room, I tend to feel like I need to be watching something on TV, like watching like a movie or watching a TV thing, or you know, I always feel like I need to have something on. Whereas when I go to bed, because I don't have a TV in my bedroom, when I go to bed it's nice and quiet and nice and chill, so I just put on an audiobook and I've been doing an hour stitching. So I've been doing this little kit which I got from Hobbycraft. It's a Trimmets kit, comes with everything that you need. I've shown this before. There's that's what size the pattern is. It's got the little key along the bottom of it. It comes with, the threads are all pre-sorted onto here with all the little numbers on them. And what I do with these, because it's such a small kit, is I just start at number 1, stitch all the number 1 things, and then work my way through the numbers. It's on 11 count Aida. It's quite nice fabric. It's like thick but not stiff. And this is what we have so far. So there's 2 different colours of reds and 2 different colours in this beigey stock bit. And I'm just about to go into colour 5. And because it's 11 count is massive for most people to stitch on. But because I'm doing it right before bed, it's nice to not have to be concentrating too hard and thinking about having to look for the holes, and it's just an ideal little thing for just lying in my bed, doing a little bit of stitching. Got it in my little pouch that I made. And yeah, it's just quite nice and chill and relaxing for sitting in my bed and trying to help me sleep, because my brain doesn't always like to switch off at night time. Honestly, I can be absolutely exhausted and my brain's just like, nope. I've got the hair there, it's long. I need to cut my hair again. I have one more whip. And then the disaster show you. This, the camera's not going to like this because it's red, but I have my 2mm clover hook, and there's not even very much to show you. We have this. I knew the camera wouldn't like it. It is quite bright red. Wow, that looks kind of neon on the screen. So we have this. Currently it's just been kept in a pencil case because that was the closest thing that I had to hand to keep it in. I know it doesn't look like much at the minute. It is going to be, it's going to be this. This is a little guy from an anime called Delicious in Dungeon. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. They're currently releasing a new episode every week. And it's just a nice, very child-friendly anime. It's sort of loosely based on a Dungeons and Dragons type scenario with a group of people who have a different skill set and they're working their way through the dungeons. There is an overarching storyline, but one of the things in it is most of the time the people are getting their stuff before they go into the dungeons. They're getting all the provisions and everything before they go into the dungeons. But this group of people, they've got no money, they can't buy provisions, but they need to go back in the dungeon for the stuff that's happening in the storyline. So they decide that they're going to start killing and eating things that they find in the dungeons. And this little mushroom guy is in the first episode. He's like the first thing that they kill and eat. But he's also in the opening sequence where he just like walks across the screen, and he's very cute. So I decided I wanted to make one. If it turns out okay, I will release a pattern for it. If it doesn't turn out okay, I will keep working on it until it does, and then I will release a pattern for it. Because it's super cute and everybody needs a walking mushroom in their life. And that's it for whips. Now, on to the disaster. Do you remember? Do you remember last week? And the week before? Probably. I was showing you some socks I was making. I was making these socks. These. This is on the Readly app, but this is from Crafts Beautiful, March 2023. Now, when I was making these socks, where are they? Where are they? I very rarely gauge swatch, so I didn't think to gauge swatch for these, which means I didn't think to look for a gauge swatch. There is no gauge swatch on the pattern. And how many times can I say gauge swatch? But there isn't. It just says use a 3mm hook, which I have, and 4-ply yarn, which is fingering weight, which is what I have. This is Stylecraft Head Over Heels, Show Your Pride, and it is in Be Bold, which is shade 1017. It is nice. It's a rainbow, but it's not like a super bright rainbow. And I love it. I love this yarn for socks anyway. It's like pretty hard wearing and it washes well because I put my hand knit socks in the washing machine and in the tumble dryer. And they wash and they dry perfectly fine. Now, when I started making the pattern, I wasn't sure about it. And I should have listened to myself. But I thought, you know what? It's in a magazine. That means it's been tech edited. That means everything's fine. No, it does not mean that everything's fine. I followed the pattern, the little sock. You do like some single crochets for this, double crochet UK terms, single crochets for US terms. Then you go into the double crochets, which are UK trebles. And I think I was probably around about here last week. And I think I had mentioned last week I wasn't quite sure, but I was going to continue. These are meant to fit a UK size 5. I'm a UK size 7. Alright, okay. We got up here, the heel. You do some like weird single crochet thing, then you fold it back on itself. You get left with these holes on either side that you have to sew up at the end. And then there's this. What is this? It takes you do your heel, you attach it back together, you do another round of double crochets, and then you go into the stitch pattern. There's like a lacy stitch pattern on it. However, what you also do is you increase from, I think it's like 50 stitches to 70 stitches or something. Why? Why do you have to do that? It's ridiculous. It's supposed to be like up here somewhere. It's supposed to have some more rows in it, but I tried this on, and to be fair, the foot part is not terrible. But this, I don't have the thinnest legs in the world, and that's like super baggy on me. I could probably fit both of my legs in there. So this is going to be frogged. It's just ridiculous. Look at it. It's like some sort of weird clown sock. I mean, the rainbow pattern is not helping with that scenario, but just... And then I don't like this heel either, having to like go back and sew up the edges. So that's getting frogged. If you have a good crochet sock pattern, let me know. I know Jenny from Stitchcraft Gifts had said that she would show me something. Coffee. Oh dear. I am very, very happy that I have my new espresso machine again. I'm dating an Italian and he just looks at my coffee in disgust, because he's been drinking coffee since he was like 12, like proper like espresso coffee since he was about 12, and he only has like 1 or 2 a day, and I have a 6-shot espresso. It's a little mocha thing, you put it on the stove top to cook, and I have a 6-shot one. And he just looks at me, he's like, oh, your heart hates you. But caffeine doesn't affect me like it affects other people. So, yeah, I like my coffee. I like this mug as well. I got this from Tesco's, like 2 years ago maybe. They do a range called Fox and Ivy, it's really nice. Right, sorry, back to actual stuff. So, yeah, if anybody has crochet sock patterns, because I really want to make crochet socks. I love my knitted socks, don't get me wrong. I have lots and lots of pairs of knitted socks though, so I would like some crochet ones. And even if they end up just being house socks, you know, I don't really leave the house anyway, so I don't mind that so much. So any kind of crochet socks, either finger and weight or DK weight, preferably, because I would like to make some crochet socks that do not look like clown shoes. I mean, I could adapt. I could like rip this bit back and I could do the pattern without the increases. I could work it out, but do you know what? I don't want to. Just the entire thing now is just like, no, I just don't want to. So that's going to get frogged. And that's it. That's all the stuff that I have been doing crafty wise. Let's see. TV wise, I haven't really been doing much. Been watching Rush Hour, the movies, the Jackie Chan movies, with my 12-year-old. Because what generally happens is his little brother, because they share a room as well, they have to have separate bedtimes. Otherwise, they just won't go to sleep. So the younger one goes to bed, and then me and the older one will sit up and we'll watch something on telly together. And we both like watching movies, so we're currently watching the Rush Hour movies, because Jackie Chan is grown up enough so that he feels like he's getting to watch grown-up stuff, and I'm not making him watch kids movies. But at the same time, I know that nothing bad ever happens in a Jackie Chan movie. He tends to not even kill people. He doesn't like using guns, you know. I know other people in the movies use guns, but yeah, they're fairly harmless and good fun. So we've been watching those, and apart from that, I've been watching Star Trek. I grew up watching Star Trek because my dad was a Trekkie, and I decided that I was going to go back to the very beginning and watch all the Star Treks in order. So I'm currently on Star Trek Next Gen. I'm about halfway through season 4, and that's what I've been watching all week. I think this weekend we have plans for a movie night, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Apart from that, I've been reading a bit more. I've been listening to my audiobooks. Let's see, audiobook wise, on Audible I have been listening to this, which is actually really, really interesting. I really like history, and I don't actually know that much about medieval history, because usually I study classical history, and that's usually like my kind of area that I stick to. But I decided I'm going to branch out and go to other areas of history. So I'm learning a bit about the Tudors, and I know it's quite a dramatic headline, like sex reproduction. No, it's not about that at all. It's about like how the Tudor line died out and the reasons behind it, and all the health problems within the family, and how even though Henry married so many times, he still never managed to produce a male heir, and then that carried on, and his female children didn't produce any male heirs either, and that was the end of the Tudor line. And it just goes into all the different, like, how they lived their lives and what sort of impact that had. And see, for me, history is not just about the big events. I know the big events are interesting and whatever, but I like the day-to-day stuff from history. I like seeing how just normal people lived, and there's quite a lot of that, and it's like, well, this is how they did this, so this was the result of it. And they're quite enlightened in medieval times in a lot of ways. I mean, in a lot of ways they clearly weren't, but they knew a lot more than I thought that they would have, considering it was so long ago. So yeah, that's been really good. That's been interesting. The other audiobook I have been listening to is this one. This one is fantastic. I started listening to it yesterday. It's quite short. I think it's about just over 6 hours, maybe 6.5 hours. I'm listening to it on BorrowBox, which is a library app, but I think I'm actually going to buy this one so that I can listen to it again, or possibly read it again, because you can buy it on Kindle, and it's really, really good. It's the guy's clearly enthusiastic about the subject, which always helps, and he is kind of based around corporate life, which I am clearly not, but there's a lot of things I can apply to my own life using the same principles, and it's a lot of how to keep yourself motivated, how to be more productive, little things that you can change here and there to stop yourself from being overwhelmed with things and getting stressed about things, which I get a lot. Because of how my brain works, I get big feelings, so I can get overwhelmed quite easily. So it shows you how to deal with that and how to find the joy in things, and how finding the joy in things, it's about changing your mindset, essentially. Finding the joy in things makes it less of a job and more of a challenge and a let's do this, and more of an enjoyable experience. And yeah, it's been really good. It's been really motivating. I am so susceptible to people telling me stuff. So when he's explaining all these things, it's actually getting me excited to start planning things and doing stuff, and I want to be more productive. So yeah, it's a good book. If you struggle with any kind of self-motivation, which, I'm self-employed, I need to be self-motivated because there is literally nobody there to say you need to get this done. I am the only person that can do that, and sometimes I struggle because sometimes I forget what day it is. Motivation. So yeah, that's my 2 audiobooks I've been listening to. I am still reading, I'm going to show you the cover this week, this one. I'm still reading that on Kindle. I am almost finished it. I'm something like 85 or 86% of the way through it. It's pretty good. Just nice light reading. It's fun. It has some spice in it, but it's incidental spice that's part of the story, rather than it's a spicy book that happens to have a bit of background, if you know what I mean. Because there's a lot of books where they go a bit too hard on the spice and there's no actual storyline. But this is quite good. It's an absolute farce. It's a very, very silly premise. It's about 2 people on a quiz show, but it's good, and it's nice light reading. It's really good for me reading right before I go to bed. Nothing bad happens in it, and it's just a nice way to. So what I've been doing is been going to bed for an hour with my stitching and my audiobook, and then I will switch the audiobook off, I will put my stitching away, and I will lie in bed and read on my phone, because I have the Kindle app on my phone and I have it set to, it's like a greenish colour screen, so that it doesn't affect my eyes when I'm going to sleep. And I will lie and I will read that for a little bit, and then I will go to sleep. And it's good. It helps me sleep. The other book that I have been reading, I just started reading this yesterday. I picked it up, I read it for about half an hour, and I'm already like a quarter of the way through it. I got given this as a gift. Mrs. Hinch Yourself Happy. I got it ages and ages and ages ago. If you don't know who Mrs. Hinch is, she's like an Instagram celebrity, which is not normally my thing at all whatsoever. I do not do any kind of celebrities. Not my thing. But again, with the trying to get motivated to do things and finding myself very susceptible to like other people being excited about stuff, makes me excited about it. And the reason that she's an internet celebrity is because of cleaning. And toxic traits of most people with ADHD, we like to be in a clean and tidy environment, and yet are completely incapable of maintaining a clean and tidy environment. So I thought I will try reading this, because it's one of the things I've been struggling with recently is my sleeping, and then that causes me to then struggle with day-to-day tasks, and especially when I don't have a lot of time. So I decided to pick this up and start reading it. And it is, I mean, she's not winning any prizes for her penmanship. No, not her penmanship, because it's typed. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Words. She's not winning awards for her writing style. It's very basic. Like the print in the book is massive, but it's just a nice, easy read. She's very enthusiastic about cleaning, she's enthusiastic about being a mom, she's enthusiastic about being a wife, she's very proud of her home, and I think it's lovely. It's really nice. It's super sweet. She seems like a nice woman, and she's just happy to be doing her thing. And yeah, what I see a lot of recently on the internet, I'm going to go on a little mini rant here. What I see an awful lot of is people claiming to be feminists, and yet they will tear down women who don't want to have a corporate job, who don't want to be like going out there and changing the world. You know, some women they are happy being a housewife. That is what they want to do. That's what they enjoy doing. And they get so much hassle from people who are like, oh, but you're oppressed. No, they're not oppressed. Oh, some of them are probably oppressed, but you know, not everybody. Some people choose this life. Like I did it for years. I was a housewife and a mom, and that was me. And that's what I enjoyed doing. And it's, people forget that feminism is the empowerment of women. It's not the hatred of men. It's not the making women take over the world. It's not women are better than men. It is the empowerment of women so that women can do what they want to do, and that they can do the things that make them happy. And if people are happy being a housewife and being a mom and being proud of their home, and I'm happy for them. You know, good on them. They found the thing that makes them happy. A lot of people go through life being absolutely miserable because they can't find the thing that makes them happy, or they find the thing that makes them happy and they don't do it because people on the internet are like, oh, you can't do that. Okay, we'll stop ranting now. So yes, just nice, easy reading. I'm doing this course and it's just frying my brain. Not because it's difficult, but because it's a lot of information and I haven't really studied quite a lot. And it's a lot of computer time as well, because I'm sitting on Zoom and doing computer work all day, which I'm also not used to anymore. So when I'm doing my reading and my crafting, you will notice it's quite like low energy, relaxing type stuff. But that's what I need right now, and that's what everybody needs from time to time, you know? You do your things based on how much energy you have, and it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, which I am. I don't have like a ton of stuff that I'm working on, but the stuff I'm working on, I'm enjoying. Which then brings me to, let me check my list. I'll be done. See, because I've already recorded as well, I don't even know what I've shown you. Live stuff. It was Kaelin's birthday. Did I do Kaelin's birthday? I don't know. It was Kaelin's birthday last week. We went out for a meal. It was fun. It was a nice day, which makes a change because we've had such bad weather. We've had the tail end of storms, and I know it's not been as bad as some people, but yeah, it's not been great. I've been doing the course, and I've been trying to start playing World of Warcraft a bit more again as well, because I've not really had much of a chance to play it over the last couple of months because I've been so busy. But there's going to be a new patch coming out with new content, so I want to get back into playing before that happens in 2 weeks, because I want to be ready for the new stuff. So I'm just trying to find, there we go. And that's about it for life stuff, I think. Plans. Right. I have a few things on my plans list. Some of them are short term for the next week. Some of them are more long term. Short term plans, Monday I'll be doing my Stitcher library. I have a finished object for, I have a finished object for Stitcher library, and then I have like my big ongoing project. So yeah, that'll be up on Monday. If you want to see what I'm working on, then if you go and have a look at last Monday's one, I'll show you the start of the big project then. I've decided to start sprinkling in some smaller projects as well, partly to get through them and partly so you don't just get bored watching the same big project every week. Those videos are much shorter than these ones. They're, because I'm only showing you the one thing or two things. They are not big massive podcasts with me waffling for days. So that's the Stitcher library. What else have I got on my list? My mushroom pattern, I'm gonna get that finished and hopefully get it written up. My Tunisian crochet pattern that I showed you, I think it was last week, I showed you the hot water bottle cover. I'm gonna have to remake that because I'm not happy with it. So that's why that's not been published yet, because I need to fiddle with some stuff and then I need to remake it. So that's on the books for this week. I need to finish the socks. I need to find a crochet sock pattern. The quilt top that I had started before that I wanted to get done last week is on the books again for this week, which is this one with all the Japanese prints. Ooh, oh no! They're all falling over. So all these like little Japanese quilt blocks that I put together. So I love this one with the little lucky cats in it. I have lucky cats. I've got 3 of them, I think. They're cute. One of them's a little, 2 of them just sit there, and one of them's got a solar panel in it, so he sits and just waves when it's sunny. So the quilt pattern is on there because I would like to get that done at some point. Because that'll be nice once I've done like the quilt top and I can get it in. I've got a quilt and hoop as well this size. And once I've got it in the quilt and hoop, then that'll be a nice mindless project as well, just because I'm going to hand quilt it. The main thing that I plan on doing this week, I have 2 main things. One of them is these. If you recall, I had started late, of course, but I started doing the 100-day challenge, and I had picked 3 different things. I had picked a walking one. I had picked an Etsy one. And I had picked a stitching one. Now, you will notice that even though I started these nearly a month ago, they don't have very much filled in on them. This is because me and my squirrel brain decided I would pin them to the wall, thinking I will see them on the wall. I will notice that they're there, I will remember to fill them in. Unfortunately, what happened instead was my brain just kind of blocked them out. My screen just went off. So my brain just kind of blocked them out. They kind of melted into the background of the wall and they just became part of my surroundings. Which meant that even though I have been doing the things more than is written down, I've not been writing them down because I forgot that I had to, and then, you know, I didn't see them to trigger the I must write that down response. So what I'm going to do is on Monday I'm going to start them again. I may or may not change them up a little bit. So this one is my cross stitching one. I'm going to keep this as the cross stitching one because I want to get these projects finished. The walking one, I mean, I've walked for more than 5 days in the last month. I've not been able to walk every day because the dog is terrified of thunder and lightning and she doesn't like rain. So she's trying to get her out when there's been bad weather. Like if it's been thunderstorms the night before, trying to get her to go out the next day is a nightmare because I don't know what's happened to her before I got her. She's a rescue, so you know, she doesn't like loud noises. And I know a lot of dogs don't like loud noises, but she's absolutely terrified of them. It's a wee shame. So we're gonna get back on the walking again. This one was meant to be to list something every day on Etsy, which I think I'm going to change that one for quite a few reasons. Firstly, it was pointed out to me that the way that the algorithm works is if you list something every single day, then that's great while you're listing something every single day. But once you stop listing something every single day, then the algorithm sees a change in your behavior and stops pushing your content. So it's actually better to do batch uploads, like maybe once a week, upload a few things, and do it that way rather than uploading one thing every single day. Because although the algorithm likes consistency, but it needs to be consistency that's sustainable. And once I've run out of things that I've made already to list, it is not sustainable for me to list something new every single day. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to change that to I would like to sew something every single day, because I have got a lot of cross stitch things where the stitching's already done that need to get turned into something. I also have a massive fabric stash that I would like to work my way through. I am mostly going to be making project bags with it, but I would like to do some other stuff as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's been really hard over winter because it gets very, very cold in this house. And when it's very, very cold, I don't want to be crawling around like with big massive bits of fabric. And I have like a big board that I put on, because I don't have an awful lot of room in here. So I have like a big massive board that I put on the floor, and I do all my cutting out on the floor on top of this board. And when it's cold, I don't want to be crawling around on the floor. I want to be on the sofa, under blankets, with a hot water bottle. So that's going to be my motivation to sew again. I also want to start making myself some clothes, but we will get around to that in the summer. I think I'd like to lose a bit more weight before I start making myself some clothes. I think I found the book. I had this book 2 years ago, and what I was struggling with at the time was I had lost some weight and then my weight had stalled, and someone had suggested to me to measure my body rather than just measuring my weight, because I had been exercising and therefore I'm putting on muscle, so my weight might go up and down, but I should check my actual, because it's not so much the weight that I want to change, it's the shape of my body. So we did that, and I started recording like the shape of my body, taking measurements in different places. And I found this book again yesterday, the day before, and I've like remeasured myself, and I'm more or less, there's like a little bit of difference here and there, but I'm more or less the same size I was 2 years ago. So that's not good. So I'm going to get back on that as well. The walking will help, the food will help. I'm starting to get back into cooking again, which is good. Cooking's been one of those, I used to love cooking and I used to love baking, and then when I was with my ex, he's quite fussy about food, and quite often I would spend a lot of time making stuff and he would just be like, I don't want it, I'm not eating it. And you know, it gets to the stage where that happens enough that you just don't want to cook and you lose enthusiasm for cooking. So I have rediscovered over the last little while, especially over the last few months, because I've started dating this Italian guy and he loves cooking as well, and he loves food, and it's fantastic. He loves food, he loves cake. So I have been getting quite enthusiastic about cooking again, and he's been showing me how to make some proper Italian food. Turns out carbonara in this country is a travesty and should burn in hell. Who knew? So yeah, I've been cooking a lot more. I've been more enthusiastic about cooking healthier food, proper portions, so that's been good. That's another one of my long-term goals. I want to lose weight so that I can sew myself some nice clothes, and so that I can knit and crochet. Crochet's not so bad because it doesn't take so long, but knitting takes so long when you're like my size. So I would like, actually it puts me off knitting my own garments because it takes so long and because it takes so much yarn as well. So I would like to make a lot more of my own clothes this year. I just went off on a massive tangent there and I don't even know why. I'm sorry, I'm waffling. Let's see what else. I think the only other thing is, so I've set up my website. I don't know whether I need to split off my channel. I don't know whether to just do yarny stuff on here and then keep my stitching and sewing stuff and put that on a separate channel. I currently have 2 separate Etsy shops. I think I'm going to do 2 separate websites. So I think it probably makes sense that I'm going to split off and do 2 separate YouTube channels. So it would mean shorter episodes, and it would mean that this channel is going to be pretty much just my yarny stuff. And then I will have another channel which will have my cross stitch and my sewing and embroidery and all my like fabricy textile type stuff on it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know, what do you think? It might be too much. We shall see. We should see how I feel going forward. But I think I'm going to have 2 separate websites and possibly 2 separate channels. The stitchy channel would be less often though, because I don't sew as much, and because cross stitch takes quite a long time, it would be pointless doing it weekly. So that would probably be either 2 weekly or monthly. I might do it 2 weekly. I think this is something that I had discussed before. What I might end up doing is making this channel 2 weekly and then making my other channel 2 weekly and just alternate them. So I would still be doing 1 video a week and then do 1 week of crochet stuff and 1 week of sewing stuff. I don't know. What do you think? If you managed to get this far with the amount of waffling I'm doing, I'm sorry. It's because my brain's just like whizzing. I'm going to stop waffling now because we're at 50 minutes and yeah, I'm just going to go off on a million more different tangents. So yeah, plans for this week: Stitch Library on Monday. It would be nice to see people there. That would be lovely. do my mushroom pattern, finish my socks, quilt top, and restart my 100 days challenge. Right, I will see you next week, and yeah, enjoy your weekend.